Hey guys, and welcome back to the channel. I am Ameera, in case you don't know, of the Lapeef Network, and we are here with a special guest, as always, Rivah. Hi, Rivah.
Hi, how are you?
Good. So last time we spoke, we said that we had to make this conversation because I did not want to let it go on our last stream. But now we are here to talk about it. And I am going to grill you like a 4th of July hamburger today because I
Ooh,
need to know. I need to know what is up in your head about this spirituality. And for some reason, I have in my mind that you're like, do some like crazy spiritual things with like candles and but I could be wrong. So you're here to prove me wrong. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. I'm actually anticipating the conversation as well. Looking forward to answering all of these many questions that you have.
Yes, yes, because I'm curious because I knew you were hiding, not hiding, you were holding back something last time we were talking and I was curious but I didn't want to throw off the show too much. But this is why we have this show dedicated to talk about this. Hello, Miss Crimson
Hi,
Cure.
Susan
Assalamu
Kier.
alaikum.
Oh, love you so much.
Isn't she
Oh,
amazing?
she's amazing. She's
I
incredible.
hope she calls in. Crimson, please call in when we start taking calls because we would love to have you involved in the conversation as well.
Yes,
This is a perfect like topic for her to call in anyway. So,
it is. Yeah.
and I see we're both wearing black, so we both chose violence. So this should be a great show. So, okay, so let's begin. Yeah.
Mhm.
All right. So, you know I'm Muslim. Yes, you know I'm Muslim. And last time we spoke, I didn't know what you follow. You did mention that you weren't Christian, nor were you Muslim. You don't follow any one of the more popular religions. So, I want you to get into it a little bit. And does your spirituality path have a name?
So, I don't know where to begin. I'm sorry. I got a little sidetracked by Crimson Cure because she just said something to me and I love her so much.
The energy.
Yeah, I love her. Um, so I wouldn't say that it has a name. No, I would not say that. I think for me to begin the conversation, I have to go backwards first, right? I have to start at 0 instead of starting at 10. So starting there is, I grew up raised literally in church, Christian, right? Like my mom is Christian, my dad is Christian, my grandma, like everywhere you go, everyone is Christian. And I grew up that way. And but I always had this certain connection. And I don't know how to explain it, but I feel like the people who have the connection know exactly what I'm talking about. There's this feeling, there's this essence that you literally carry around.
With
And
what? Like, what can you get deeper into that?
um I want to say it in words that people understand, but it's very hard. Like I could say energy, like your energy, your aura, your uh, you literally just let off this feeling that is so comforting to others. Um, it's like a warm feeling, if I had to explain it in like the easiest terms, right? And I feel like there's some people who are literally born with that. There's some people who are born with that. And I don't feel that spirituality and religion are one and the same, because there's some people who are very religious and they don't have any depth to them when it comes to spirituality.
True.
There's some people who are super spiritual, but if you ask them like what's their religion, they don't abide by these rules, but when you feel them and when you look at them, you can trust them if they just have this essence about themselves. So with me, I grew up, like I said, Christian. Um, and basically one day I just started to research a lot of different things for myself, gain knowledge for myself. And I went different avenues for the knowledge. I went, I researched a lot from like Sadhguru. I love Sadhguru so much.
You have to explain what that is.
Sadhguru is actually, he's a guru. He is literally an Indian guru
Okay.
he's on YouTube as well. But his teachings, when he gets all the people together, and his teachings and the things that he said are so powerful and so strong. And it literally gives you, um, direction with
This
so
isn't, just really quickly, this isn't Baba G, right? You're not talking about Baba G.
no.
Okay.
His name is literally Sad Guru.
Mm.
And I believe, yeah, somebody said in the comments, I believe he is Hindu. I honestly don't know what he is. I don't even care. The way that he speaks and the way that he thinks is so eloquent, and he has that thing. He has that light on the inside of him that shines when he speaks. I love him so much. I would listen to people like uh, Emperor Haile Selassie in his teachings, Black King from Ethiopia.
Okay.
I would listen to Mutabaruka. A lot of people who don't know may not know who that is. Mutabaruka is an author, but he also was around during the time that Rastafarianism became that it was developed. Bob
Okay.
Marley's teachings.
Okay.
I can go on and on, but a lot of my
Riva, I want you to here. This is where it's going to start, okay?
yeah.
What I want you to do is beyond telling me who you listen to, I want you to tell me. Let's begin with a few questions, yeah.
I think that's better.
Yeah. Do you believe that there is a God, or do you believe that everything is spiritual energy that is controlled by a higher being?
That's a good question. I believe that there is a God, right?
Okay.
But I don't think that I think our human minds are selfish enough that we try to make God into a person like we are.
Okay.
I think that we kind of we limit God in making it to be like a physical person that's somewhere like we are.
I agree.
And so in that sense, I don't believe that there's like a man, somewhere that just like we're like boop boop boop,
Mm-hmm.
My interpretation is that God, which would be the higher source, which I don't even like to say the word God, which people are like, oh, come on, like, but I don't like to even say the word God because I just feel like a man created that name to call this the source of creation itself.
Okay.
I look at God as the source of creation in itself, not necessarily a creator like a person.
Okay, so my next question to you is, where do you believe, or let's see, do you believe in creationism, or that's here? Where do you believe that humans came from?
Where do I believe humans came from?
Mm-hmm.
Partly do you mean as in like where like the Bible when they say like, oh, like God created a man and a woman like that, or are you asking?
Well, there's many theories, correct? There's the scientific theory that we evolved from animals, from a monkey, and then there's the more religious belief that we were created by God and He created one man, one woman, and from there, the rest of us sprung about. So, my question to you is, where do you believe that everything began? How do you know what I mean?
Okay, so wow, Ameera, you really okay.
Just curious.
You're really coming with the questions. The thing is, I believe obviously that we came from Earth, right? We obviously came from the Earth, right? Like literally all of the elements that are around us in nature are literally within our bodies that keep us alive and keep us sustained.
Okay.
I don't depending on what I believe that evolution in some parts did play a role in the people that we see today. Mm-hmm. But I think it depends on, my question is, what people are you asking about? And that's a deeper conversation that I don't want to get into.
You're trying to escape this question. Okay, we'll move on.
That's a very deep conversation that I don't want to, yeah.
So in your spirituality belief, which I'm not exactly sure what it is yet, but I'm trying to reach a conclusion. Yeah, eventually. Yeah. So what do you believe about death then? Do you believe in reincarnation, or do you believe that you die and you are judged and you go to either a heaven or a hell? What do you believe?
I believe that energy, which we all have, right? That's
Mm-hmm.
the thing that makes you you and makes me. It's your energy that's on the inside of you, your spirit. Um, I I feel like I know that energy cannot be created or destroyed. It's always there.
Mm-hmm.
So I believe that when you leave, when you transition, I'm not sure what happens necessarily after that, because I
Mm-hmm.
mean, no, everybody can have all the theories they want, but nobody has gone and came back and was able to tell us anything that genuinely happened.
Okay.
Um, but I feel like we live in our judgment now. That's how I personally feel. I feel like we're literally living in that in those situations while we're here.
Hmm. So does that mean that in your belief that karma exists and that we are being judged actively as we live?
Yeah.
What do you think about
You
what do
put
you
out
think about the prophets?
about who?
The prophets, Moses, Jesus, Ibrahim, Prophet Muhammad. Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. What do you believe in them?
Um, I don't know. Okay, so I'm gonna be genuinely honest. I don't know much about um like the prophets when it comes to like the Muslim culture. I genuinely don't.
Okay.
I do believe that okay, so I believe that if we're gonna talk about Christianity and
Mhm.
we're gonna go there, I'm gonna give you my honest opinion. I literally came
I want it.
Yeah, I literally came here. We didn't even talk about this. I don't know if people know that. We literally just came on here and we're just having a conversation. Just like I do my reaction videos, I'm coming on here just straight answering the phone. But I believe that the stories in the Bible are allegories.
Mm.
And I think that if people were to interpret the Bible effectively, I believe that people would be living as that example that's set, right?
Mhm.
So living through the Christ consciousness, meaning putting on the mindset of Christ,
Mhm.
not necessarily looking through all of these stories and taking these things as literal things, but
Mm.
literally putting on the same mindset that that person had, being kind to others, being compassionate, learning to turn the other cheek in a sense, you know what I'm saying,
Uh-huh.
putting on that same mindset within this time. I think
Okay.
it's a diagram of how you should be to live your life, but then there's also the point. My thing is there's levels to everything. There's also a point of that, religion was put into place to keep people in line.
Mm.
So that's a big
Mhm.
fact that we can't dispute. That's genuinely a fact.
Okay. Okay. I get it. So, delving into your spirituality, the main reason why I wanted to have this conversation with you was because when we were doing our live stream that day, you had said something. It was very under your breath. You almost didn't fully say it. It was kind of like one of those things you kind of whispered to yourself, but I heard you. And you said something like the energy that I was giving off to you, that you were picking up an energy,
Mhm.
something around that nature. So,
Mhm.
what does that mean for you? And do you feel that with everyone that you see? Do you pick up these energies? Do you see auras in people? And why do you get to that point? Like, what brought you to that point to be that sensitive in
Mhm.
that, to those things? What brought you to that point? Because your spirituality, I do believe, has a great influence on why you were able to pick up energies. I want you to get deeper into that because I think a lot of people can relate to you. I see people in the chat now. A lot of people are saying that they relate, they understand, they can see what you're saying, although you're not saying it fully. There's people also in the last chat that we did in our last stream. People were saying that people see that you have a lot of thoughts in your mind that you aren't free to release, or maybe you don't know how to release them well. And I want you to take a minute and breathe and express yourself here because this is what this is for. This is so that you can let loose. So I want you to feel free to speak about these inner thoughts and feelings as freely as you want.
That's why I love you, Ameera, because you literally just set the table and you're like, go ahead, be free. How did I get here? Again, a big part of the person that I am is I don't know how to explain it any deeper than the fact that I was literally born this way. Like, I was literally born the way that I am, very sensitive to people's feelings, but then very sensitive to um, my intuition, very, very sensitive to that. And I've been right all the time. Like, when it comes to, if I sense something, if I sense the feeling of danger, I'm not wrong in my sentiments. If I sense the feeling of kindness or whatever the case may be, I just have this sensor, and I feel like I genuinely feel like all people have it. It just depends on if you acknowledge it or if you ignore it. And if you ignore it, that feeling or that intuition, that voice that tells you like something isn't right, if you keep ignoring it, it's going to become silent to you. The more that you listen to it, and the more that you try to be connected within yourself, the more that you center yourself. We talk about, going out in nature and having those shoes on and like putting yourself in the present time in nature. Like, you're literally just, the only thing that you can do is just sit down and look at the things that are happening around you. You realize that you're a small space in this huge universe. You realize that the world does not revolve around you. An example I like to give is, there's a forest full of trees, and if one tree falls down, those other trees are not going to stop growing. They're going to continue to grow. So you realize how much you don't necessarily matter.
Don't matter. How much we don't matter.
How much you don't matter. And when I say that, I don't mean that you don't have a purpose. Of course we all do. But I'm just saying that to say that the less that you are vain, the less that you look at yourself in a selfish way, the less that you are so self-centered, the more you gain, the more knowledge that you are equipped with. The more that you meditate, take time to be in silence, the more that you listen to that thing that we all literally have. The more you listen to it, the more it grows.
So would you consider yourself to be an earthy person? Because Anton is in the chat and he's calling you earthy. So would you consider yourself? He's there. I mean, he had to come in just to call you earthy because you're talking about taking off your shoes and letting the grass in between your feet.
I love Anton. He's so funny. So yes, I would. Yes, I would consider myself to be an earthy person.
And what is the definition of earthy? Because Kay was wanting the definition of that.
Which I wanted I wanted their definition of earthy, right? I wanted to know what their sentiments were, but I never got that answer. And I'm really hoping that Anton and me have this conversation, because it's worth it.
Don't say it. He will call in. All you have to do is say his name 3 times.
Yeah.
Say his name 3 times, he comes.
Yeah, I want him to call in. So the thing is, this is why I started off the conversation talking to you about all of the people that I listen to, right? The people that I gain knowledge from. This is when I'm like, I was, I know Christianity from tradition. Everyone in my family is a Christian based off of tradition, because that's what we're told to be. That's what we're told to do, right? Like, my grandmother literally grew up in Jamaica in a time that, her father, my great-grandfather, was like, you can't listen to Bob Marley in this house. Like, it was literally like against everyone in that time to listen to that, because a lot of those people were shamed for the things that they were saying, because they were going against the grain of a lot of things.
Maybe I'm a part of a group that don't know what Bob Marley, what he was saying that was so controversial. Can you explain?
Of course. Bob Marley is a Rastafarian, a proud one at that. I'm sorry. A proud one at that, right? He's not the inventor. A lot of people think that he is, but he is not. But these Rastafarians there's so many different umbrellas that they fall under, but they basically live their life like the Old Testament in the Bible. Haile Selassie, Emperor Selassie, that's in Ethiopia. He's obviously not alive anymore, but he was emperor in Ethiopia. He was crowned king, and he was given the titles King of Kings, Lord of Lords, Conquering Lion of the tribe of Judah. These are all things that are literally in the Bible. These labels are in the Bible. So people look to Selassie in different ways. Some of them look at him as a teacher. Some of them look at him literally as Christ reincarnate. Like literally, like there's so many different umbrellas, like I was saying. So he was going against the grain. You know, he had dreadlocks, which, you know, people are calling them dreadlocks because they said that they're dreadful. In that time, you know, you have like a more clean, you know, men have a clean cut. They don't have, you know, hair on their face. You as a Muslim, you know, they don't cut their precepts, as well as the Rastas do not as well. They do
They
not
do
touch
not.
their hair.
Yeah.
Right. But in Christianity, and especially in that time, it was very like, oh no, men should be like clean shaven, you know, women should wear this, women should. So that's why a lot of people didn't, just his image alone. That's why a lot of people in that time were like, no, don't, you know, don't listen to him. No, they were considered literally the rebels, but they was all for a good cause, because what they were trying to do was educate the people.
So okay, I don't want to put you in a box, and I know that's like very human. It's just a human thing to do, is try to put a label and put you in a box. And I guess I'm just trying to get down to where your, how can I say this? Your intuition. I understand you say you're born with it and you felt it since you were a kid.
Literally.
So when you were young and you had this intuition, yeah, and you grew up in the church, at what age did you decide to deviate from the Christian religion? Why did you feel that it wasn't enough? Why did you feel like it did not satiate your appetite for spirituality? Why do you feel that, and what age did that happen at?
Two things I want to say. The first thing I want to say is, yes, I understand. I genuinely understand, and I knew this was going to be a difficult conversation, just based off the fact of, I know that that's what people like to do. People like to see you and they want to associate you. Like, okay, so what are you? Oh, you're a Muslim? Okay, great. So fine, we understand she's a Muslim.
It's human, yeah.
It's human. But for me, it's not possible to do, because I literally break any label that somebody gives me, I break it, because I'm just so different. And there's a lot of people who are like that, who literally can't go by like literally any labels when you come to religion, when you come to belief systems. You know, it's very custom. But when I was younger, I was always considered like the old soul. Like, so my mom would always say. My mom said from literally I was born, like she put me in the stroller, and she was like, you would just sit there like a little old, like a grandma, like watching everyone and analyzing everyone. And the things that I would say as a child was just so like, how do you know that? Like, why are you so sure of the things that you're saying? I grew up in the church. Literally, as I grew up in the church, because of that connection that I had, because of that thing that I had, I remember I grew up in like a huge church. I always say, I won't say the names of these places, but the pastor literally had me at like it was like one of those like big seminar things that they have at the church. And he literally took me and he gave me to one of the women in the church who was like an evangelist.
What age was this?
I was 4.
Okay.
4. And she took me with her and she says, I want you to lay hands on people. Like, I want you to touch these people while I pray for them. And she could have chosen literally any kid. Like, she literally could have chosen any kid. And this was a huge mega church. I mean, like, millions of people go to this church. And so, you know, obviously my mom seeing that, my mom worked in the church as well. Obviously my mom seeing that, like, they fostered me like the growth, like in the church, like, okay, you're going to be in the choir. Okay. You're going to be like you know, whatever I can do to be in the church, because they knew that it was something that I was connected with. Fast forward now all the way to literally 23.
So up until 23, you were Christian.
Yes. 23 years old is when I started to look for things myself, right? I started to do some knowledge, because I don't know, I just was going through like a huge change in my life. And I'm a super big like researcher, and I literally just started to research. I started to research. I started to, find knowledge. I started to, because when you're on the road of like knowing stuff about religion, there's theology churches, like you literally can learn about every single belief system. I literally
For
was just
sure.
learning. I just wanted to hear good knowledge, positive knowledge, and I wasn't biased of who the knowledge was coming from. Hence why I said the names like Sadhguru, who's literally an Indian man. I believe he's Hindu, and has like the turban, but has the same precepts. And I just love the way that he spoke. And when he, said things to me, I felt like, wow, like he's super connected. Like when you're like that, you can feel it. And I would listen to, like I said, a lot of other people, and it just made me feel like, maybe everything that we were taught doesn't mean that it's actually what people say it is.
Well, it's good to have a curious mind and to be always open to learn more. So, my question to you now is this. You had your awakening at 23, where you were more curious and you wanted to look beyond what you have been taught by Christianity.
Correct.
So, why? No, I'm not going to go there. I'll ask it this way because I don't want you to have an influenced answer. I'm going to ask you this way.
Mm-hmm.
Where did you go first after Christianity? Where did you end up looking?
What I looked at was, like I said, Selassie.
So that was the first person that you ended up kind of doing research on or listening to after you left Christianity?
Yes. I literally started doing research right there. I started doing research on him, on his speeches, on our lineage, because I look around and I say, okay, when you look at people who are Jewish, their God, obviously looks like them, right? When you look at people who are Hindu, their God looks like them. When you look at people who are Muslim, their God looks like them. When you look at people who are Buddhist, their God looks like them.
We don't really quickly. I want to tell you something. Just like I understand where you're going at. I understand what you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a lot of misconceptions about that, because in Christianity, I don't know if you've been to Asia or if you know anything about Asia. In Korea, they have Korean Christians, and in Korea, Jesus is Korean. He looks Korean. He looks Asian. In a lot of I know that a lot of Americans have Jesus painted as a white man with blue eyes, which is obviously untrue. But every person wants to make their prophet look like them. But God, however, God has never been seen as a race of people. But in Islam, we don't even have pictures of our prophet. So we've only heard about what he might have looked like, and even that, it looks nothing like an average Arab. So I understand what you're saying there, but continue.
Yes, and thank you for correcting me with that, because like I said before, I literally don't know anything about. I know very few things about the Muslim religion. I genuinely do, right? One thing I do know is that they pray a lot, and I admire that. I think that's something that a lot of people should take. I think a lot of people who are super religious should take that on. But what I was meaning to say was, when you look around, right, people make their God look like them. I wanted to know who is the God of the people who were taken from a land that they were born, Africa. Who is that? Who is the leader over there? What's going on? Like, what's going on, right? What was the biggest religion? Like, I literally did a lot of different research on that information. Once again, I looked to Black King, Haile Selassie. Okay, let's look at this. When I looked into it, I realized, okay, Haile Selassie himself is an Ethiopian Orthodox Christian, right? They say that Christianity literally started there in Ethiopia. They said that they have the oldest Bible, all of these things. Okay. The more that I did research on Selassie, the more that I did research and heard his speeches, is the more that I gained the knowledge of myself. The more
Okay,
that
in what way? In what
the
way?
more that I realized the power that we all have, the power that we literally all hold within us.
Mm.
You know, when you close your eyes and you pray, and you're praying on the inside of yourself, what voice is that that's praying with you? Who is that you're hearing on here? That's your high. That's you, right? That's your higher self. Is that somebody
I
else?
mean, you know, that is a whole psychological question that I could
Is it
not
something
answer
else?
where that voice in your brain comes from. But I just want to know. So since you went there, do you think that that had an influence on what you believe now? The fact that instead of going the more traditional way and looking at the bigger predominant religions, instead of going to Islam or Buddhism, or is that how you say it, Buddhism or Buddhism?
Buddhism.
Buddhism, or Judaism, instead of going to those things, you went straight to the Indian guru. So, do you think that that had an influence on what you are today? Because I know that, well, I don't know, but I'm going to ask you. From what I've seen, people like Babaji, the spiritual leaders in India, they believe in many gods. A lot of them believe in many gods, that there's a God for almost everything, and that energy is the most important thing. These kind of ideas, this kind of ideology. So, do you think that that had something to do with why you believe what you believe today?
No, no. And I'll say yes and no. Because the thing is, I was not closed to anything that I heard. I was not. I'm not a type of person that's closed off from anyone. Somebody can speak to me, and they can be, Muslim. And I will sit here and listen to you and have a great conversation and listen to what you're saying and say, wow, like that's powerful, and take that knowledge. But it was deeper. It was something that was deeper than religion for me, way
Mm-hmm.
deeper than religion. Because like I said, I have this connection that I know is true. I know it's true. And I wanted to know, all these religions came about. There's so many different religions. And it's funny that you said that about Buddhism, because I actually spoke to someone who was Hindu. And I remember having a really strong conversation with her. And she said, no, we don't believe in multiple gods. We believe that there's one God, but we just call different names. And I said, I understand. She said, yeah, when we're praying for finances, we call this, but we only believe that there's one God. So I thought that was very profound, because in my mindset, I thought there was different gods. I thought you guys had different representations. She said, no, we believe in one. And I think that the problem that I personally have, right? And this, I want to say this because I feel like it's so important to say, whatever it is that you find truth in, whatever it is that you believe in, and it's true to you, it's true to you. Right? So
That's kind of that argument of having your truth. I don't believe in having your truth. I believe that there is a truth, and I mean, there can't be multiple truths. Does that make sense? Like, how can I
the
say
reason
this?
why I say that is, right? The reason why I'm saying that,
Mm.
the reason why I'm saying that whatever is true to you is true to you is because, especially in this time that we live in now, like everybody is looking for something to hold on to. They're looking for someone to save them. They're looking for someone outside of themselves to protect them, right?
Mm.
And there's people who literally cannot function without their belief system. If I was to go to a Buddhist and say, hey, everything that you're saying does not exist, they would lose it. Right? Like, because like, what do you mean everything that I've always been taught does not exist, or is not true, or if it was just a story that was made up for me to stay in line and to be structured? And I'm not talking about exactly Buddhism, but I'm just using that for an example.
Mm.
If I was to say that, a lot of people would not be able to function, right? And a
Okay.
lot of times I feel like also that religion is put in place to also separate people. That's my belief.
Right.
Religion is a way to separate people, because a lot of people, if you get them into the same room, they can have some conversations where they realize, wow, we do believe that same thing. Or, oh, you know what? I never thought of it that way. Maybe you guys are right over there.
The universal truths, you mean?
Universal truths.
There are universal truths. But let me ask you. Okay, so so now that we're here, we're talking about. You didn't answer my question, however. You didn't really answer my question.
I'm sorry.
So I wanted to. I guess I just want to get to a point where I can say, like, I kind of get the flow of where you're going. We're talking about energy, and you speak about energy. What proof do you have that you have these energies and they're accurate and this is the true way? You say you know it's true. How do you know? What proofs do you have? What evidence have you seen in your life?
True. What do you mean by true in what way? Like,
So
what do you mean by proof, and what do you mean exactly when you say like a proof of like my energy that it works?
Because you said that Christianity wasn't the way. You said there was something missing in Christianity, and I can understand feeling like something is missing in a religion.
Can I pause you right there? Don't forget what you're gonna say, but let me stop you right there. Christianity was literally given to people, a lot of people, on slave ships, or on their way over here. That's literally true. It was literally there was literally a boat that had the name. I believe literally the name was like Jesus or something like that. That people were literally brought over here on, right? When I was searching out knowledge, way back when, I wanted to know the people who didn't know this language, the people who were literally not from here, the people who were literally living in their homeland before we were given different names of last names that we can literally not, track our lineage to. What did they believe? How did they connect to God? How did they find a way to the source? That was my ultimate goal when I was searching. Beyond religion, how was their literal divine connection before these books were out, before life evolved and everybody can literally just go to the store and buy a Bible? How did these people connect? How was that possible? What did they do? That was my biggest question when I did my research. I just wanted to point that out. I was holding that back, to be honest, but I just wanted to say that.
No, that's what I said. I want you to say it because you're holding back and everyone can feel it. Even the chat is feeling it. They're saying she's trying to say something, but it's not coming out. And I want you to feel free. I'm not offended by anything. We can talk about it. I'm not sensitive. I want to hear. And that's why I brought you here, because I want you to open up about this, because I appreciated it so much that you even said something like that, because a lot of people would not say the truth. They wouldn't say, oh, I felt this energy, or they would never say it. They would just keep it to themselves. And the fact that you said it, it was important to me. So I understand what you're saying. You're saying this was a religion taught to a group of people that were in slavery, and you wanted to reach beyond that, right? So, so the way that you see it now is that the religions come from the energies that people felt before, and they tried to put into a religion to control the masses. Something.
No, I just think that different religions are put in place to control people, yes. But all of them don't all of these religions, I'm not saying, like I said, okay, let me give you an example. The Muslim religion is older than Christianity, right? Okay. So you're definitely
no. Christianity is older. I'm sorry.
Okay. So Christianity is older than Islam. Okay. Thank you for correcting me, because I keep saying this Muslim religion. Thank you for saying this. Okay. So there's people who would say, because I always thought that Islam was older than Christianity. I thought that Christianity was one of the newer religions. I always thought that.
No, we, in our book, in our Quran, we have the story of Jesus as well, but that's because Jesus came before the Quran. So Yes, Islam is newer than Christianity by, I believe, 400 to about 400 years, I believe, difference.
Wow, I never knew that. I really never knew that. I literally always thought that Islam was older. Okay, but for example, right?
Mm-hmm.
So then people would say, if that's the case, then people would say, oh, well, then how would you believe this? How would you believe Islam if Christianity was first? Why wouldn't you believe in Christianity?
Like, oh, so you're saying if Christianity was first, why would I believe in Islam?
Yeah.
That's a good question. That's a really good question. I believe in Islam because of, let's see, well, I did study Christianity as well. I did study Christianity as I got older, but I believe in Islam because of how complete the religion is. Islam is not really a religion to me. It's more of a way of life. It's my lifestyle. It's my, how can I say, it's my law. It's the way I eat. It's the way I dress, the way I wake up, the way I feel, the way I pray, the way, I mean, it's just everything. It's all encompassing. And that's why I love Islam. The reason I wouldn't be a Christian is because I feel that with Christianity, a lot of things are missing. And Christians don't hate me, but hi, Crimson Care. So I just don't believe that Christianity is full. It's not a complete religion for me. I mean, complete lifestyle in a way. So that's why.
So how would you feel to people who say, well, Christianity is not Islam is not a full religion. It's a lifestyle choice, but so is Christianity.
But it's not.
How would you feel about people who say that there's different tiers of Christianity? So instead of you being a part of, being a part of Islam, why don't you just be a Christian then?
Because we Muslims believe that everyone is born Muslim. We don't believe that there is this, how can I say this? If someone were to say, no, Ameera, Islam is not a complete religion, I would just offer them to come and try to understand it because they obviously don't know. But if someone was to say, well, Ameera, you don't understand that Christianity is actually the full religion, I would say, no, because I studied it. I've seen it and I've read the books and I noticed that there was something missing.
Something missing like what?
So in Christianity, this is going to get a little deep, I guess, but this is what we came here for. So here we are. In Christianity, I noticed that there are a lot of things that were missing. Like in the Quran, we have an answer to every situation, even situations of violence, situations of war, marriage, divorce, finances, taxes, interest. Everything is all encompassing under this book. And I noticed that in Christianity, I didn't see any laws regarding money transfer, banks, taxes like we have. There were just things that you, even eating, like the way the people eat, like we have a way that we eat as Muslims. I didn't see that there were any specifications on how to do this or that. And also, there was also the Trinity that I just could not understand. I did try to understand the Trinity, that it was like God and then Jesus, the Son of God, and the Holy Ghost. I couldn't understand how the idea is that God made himself into a man and then died. But Jesus said that he wasn't God. He said that he was the Son of God. So that it was just a mix up with that. And there's a few other reasons that I didn't understand. And also I noticed that in the Christians, now this could be just a recent thing, but I noticed that Christians don't have the ummah like Muslims do. We call it the ummah. The ummah means like the brotherhood kind of community. And that was also missing as well.
So in Christianity, there's people that are 7-day Adventists, and they eat probably very similar to how Muslims eat.
In which way?
And they believe that their Sabbath is literally different. Like literally everything is different. They don't eat pork. They don't eat, shellfish. They don't eat any of those things as well. So if someone were to say, well, how come you don't just do that? Why would you go all the way to why would you go to Islam and not be that kind of Christian instead?
Are you talking about diet specifically? You're saying they eat like us as in diet?
Yeah, possibly diet. I don't really know exactly how you. I'm just using this as an example because I promise I'm making a point why I'm asking you all of these questions.
Yeah, sure. Right. So, diet in the Bible, it does say that you should not consume the meat of swine or something like that. I believe it's in the book of John. I believe it's in the book of John that it says you shouldn't eat swine. A lot of Christians do not follow that, but it's good to hear that the 7-day Adventures, what? Adventists, 7-day Adventists, that they do not eat pork as is demanded in the Bible. That's good. And why wouldn't I be a Christian if that were the case? Because in Islam, it's not just the diet, it's also the way that we eat, even the way that we clean ourselves. Everything is all encompassed. Now, a lot of people don't know this, but there's a special way that Muslims go to the bathroom. And this is a secret of ours that most people don't know, but Crimson Cure, if she's here, she...
Tell me the secret.
No, I'm not going to tell you.
I'm just kidding.
We have things that we do that are specifically told to us to do. And even the way that we eat, we only eat with the right hand. We wouldn't dare touch our food with the left hand. There's certain ways that we should be sitting when we eat. We don't believe in standing while we drink. There's just so many things that just are healthy for us. And we knew because the Quran told us so. Now, why wouldn't I be a Christian? Because, they eat the same diet as a Muslim. That is not all. I like the fact that my book is all encompassing. And like I said, regarding taxes, regarding the transfer of money between families, and all of this is in the Quran. I have no question that I can't get answered in the Quran. And that's why I live it.
Okay, so the reason why I asked you these series of questions, I know the chat is going off like, what is she doing? The reason why I asked you this series of questions is because everything that you told me is the reason why you chose that belief system, the reason why you follow this belief system, the reason why you believe in it so strongly is because there is an answer every time that you're looking for, every time you have a question, right? Now, would you believe me if I said that there are people who live according to everything that you're stating, but not because they read it, just because that's just naturally how their essence tells them to live?
Nonsense.
It's true.
Who?
It's true.
Who?
There's a lot of people.
Who are these people?
Which my point, myself. And let me tell you what I mean by that. I don't mean literally everything, but I mean, there's a saying, natural is the mystic, right? One of the things for me, for example, when it comes to Christianity, if we want to be completely honest, yes, they talk about food, but yes, they talk about how the things that you're supposed to eat. But let's ask a question. Do they follow the way? If you look at a normal Christian, right? Just a regular Christian. Is there anyone that you know at all that says, we're not eating pork, we're not eating the swine, even though it was literally in their Bible, it was cursed. The swine was cursed. People still eat it. People still eat bacon. You can literally go to churches that maybe have food and functions, and they'll have bacon and pork there.
Okay.
So these things didn't add up to me.
So you're saying because people didn't follow the book correctly, they didn't add up to?
No, I'm saying that there's things that are in there. There's things that are in there. This is just one example.
Okay.
Right? But if we're supposed to be doing all of these things and the leader is supposed to be leading by example, when you start to do knowledge by yourself, you start seeing that certain things don't make sense in a certain sense. You start seeing like, hold on a second. This is not the way that we are supposed to live. How did these people live? How did the originators live? That's why I said in a previous video that I did even on my own channel that people literally talk about all of these things. They talk about, like you said, the swine, literally the pig. Let's just talk about the pig alone.
Let's talk about it.
Islam, Judaism, and literally the Bible and Christianity says that it is cursed. You don't eat it. You do not consume it. But in Christianity, because, that was like the Old Testament and that's left and there's no big deal, we can do that. But why is everyone saying that you should not? And then genuinely, if you look, there's health reasons as to why you shouldn't eat that. There's literal health reasons. Like literally, like there's so many, high cholesterol, but like cancers and diseases.
And strokes.
And even just having a clean colon. That's why I always say, like, when I looked at the people, when I was doing my research and I looked at like Rastafarianism or the people who are Rasta, right? Obviously, it's going to be a little bit more native to me because, as we all know, I'm Jamaican as well, right? So in Jamaica, it's like, there's Christianity, there's, Rastafarianism.
I don't think I knew you were Jamaican. I don't think I knew that.
Yes, I'm Jamaican. Well, I'm not born there, but my family is from there. Okay. So obviously that's going to be something very close for me to, research. And they don't eat these things. They don't cut their precepts the same way that the people of Islam do not. Okay. They don't eat these things. And there's a lot of certain traits that these people have that they follow.
Okay. So I want to ask you, I want to get back a little bit on the topic because I want to get to this so then we can add some callers, because I do want people to call in and ask their questions or yell at us, whatever they want to do. We can handle it. So
no, I'm just kidding.
my question to you is this. Since I want to get down to it and I just want to hear what you think. So you said that you do believe that there is a God. Check. You do believe that when you die, that your energy does not die with you. That energy moves on. It just transfers. Your energy transfers, correct?
Transforms.
Transforms. Into what?
Not sure.
Okay. Okay, and you believe that your energy can be felt by others and you can have an aura that people can see and feel around you?
Yeah.
Okay. And let's see. What do you believe about food? Do you have any diet restrictions?
I do.
What do you not eat?
I don't eat pork. I don't eat red meat. I literally, and I'm going to be honest, I literally don't eat any fish. Like, I don't eat any seafood. If I do eat fish, it's only a fish that has scales on it.
Okay, that's understood, but no scavengers, right?
No scavengers, because I'm not a scavenger, and I genuinely believe you are what you
are what you eat.
You are what you eat. And I also feel that when you eat, and I'm sure, and I know you're probably gonna agree with me on this as well. When a person is eating a burger, right? When they literally kill that cow, the fear that's in that cow is in that meat. And you consume it.
The what? The fear?
The fear that's in that cow before it's killed. That fear, that energy doesn't go in once. What did I say before? Energy does not die; it transforms. That energy, that fearful energy, is in that meat. When you eat a lot of red meat and you don't know why you have anxiety.
Well, that's another reason why we believe in halal meat, that we kill the animal a certain way. The animal has to be calm. We have to pray over him before we kill him for specific reasons.
I knew you would understand what I'm saying. Yes. I knew you would understand what I'm saying.
Anything else? Any other restrictions that you have put on yourself because of your spirituality?
Yes, I don't eat processed food.
Okay.
I don't eat dairy. I'm trying to think of. I mean, I really don't eat a lot of stuff. I eat chicken, but very rarely.
Sparingly.
Okay. I eat a lot of more vegan food. I genuinely do. And I believe that your food is your medicine, and your medicine is your food. So everything that you're putting in your body is either giving you life or it's slowly killing you.
Correct.
You have to choose wisely.
I agree. Do you have any restrictions regarding your love life because of your spirituality?
And I also wanted to mention too, like, I think it's important that I say this, that one of the ways that I eat too is more alkaline. It's very important. It's very, very important. It doesn't matter what you believe in. It's very important that you try to eat a more alkaline diet, because sicknesses, diseases can't live in a body that's alkaline. That's so important. That's so important. And I think that a lot of people don't put enough emphasis on the things that you eat in your body, because like I said, you're literally consuming life or you're consuming death. I'm sorry, what you said on my love life.
Right. Do you have any restrictions on your love life based on your spirituality and your spiritual beliefs?
As in what?
Do you believe in marriage? Do you believe that you shouldn't be having premarital sex, or you shouldn't be having sex with a person before you have come before God or before energies? I don't know if you, before your energies, and declared it so that this is so. What do you believe in regarding that?
I think for me personally, for my life, or what people should do.
You, of course, not everyone.
I'm just asking. I think that it's led up. I think that's left up to your own convictions. If I'm talking about other people, but for myself, I think that even if you want to talk about biblical times, a man saw a woman and he made her his wife. They didn't have to sign a paper. They didn't have to. They committed themselves to each other, devoted themselves to each other, and that's her husband and that's his wife, and that's it.
So you don't believe in polygamy?
That's a different conversation, Ameera.
No, it's not. This is the same conversation.
No. Well, that's a question that we can have a long conversation about. Like,
it's a yes or no. Yes or no.
Do I believe in polygamy, as in a man having multiple wives?
Yeah.
Of course I do.
Okay. Of course. That's all I wanted to know. But I know you can probably answer like in certain situations and so on. I just wanted to know.
I agree with that.
Okay.
I definitely agree with that. And we need to have another conversation about that.
We might have to schedule something up, because I love that conversation.
I would love that conversation. Mm-hmm.
Oh my God, this is never going to end. I love it. Okay.
It is not. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I really want to have that conversation later too, because that's a very important thing. And it's one of the things that a lot of people, especially women, tend to run from. I guess lastly, what about death? I guess you kind of answered already about death. And okay, what do you think about what should happen to the body when the person dies?
I honestly don't. I don't think. I really don't know. I really don't know what people should do. I think that's up to. Honestly, I don't have any feelings about that, because I've been in situations that I've seen people pass away, and I used to think a certain way about cremation, and I understand why they do that. I completely understand, And at first I used to be like, oh my God, like, when I had a different mindset, I would be like more like, oh my gosh, like literally you just turn into dust, and is that okay? And so I definitely think that's up to, once again, people's own convictions. I don't think, because once your spirit is gone, this doesn't.
It's just clay. We're just clay.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So, and then I think my last question is, what do you believe about marriage? Would you ever be able to marry a Christian and Muslim? Would you be able to be in a marriage with a person who is religious?
Mm-mm.
You wouldn't?
No. And when I say that, I mean, for me, my leader has to be able to lead me. So they have to be on my frequency.
But if you're not in a religion, where are they leading you to?
Technically higher than I am.
But if you're not in a religion, where are they leading you to? That's my question.
No, because religion is not the only thing that's put in place to lead somebody.
Okay.
Once again, remember, we're talking about religion and spirituality. Spiritually, you have to be able to cover me. Okay. That's a deeper conversation that I feel like can go down like a rabbit hole.
I want to thank you for being open and actually speaking on these topics, because I know it is kind of difficult for you to put a lot of the things that you have in your head in words. I've noticed that about you, and so has the chat. And I just want to
Yeah.
say thank you, and I applaud you for doing it.
Yeah, and I also want to say to everybody in the chat, first of all, I want to thank you guys so much for watching, first of all, and being a part of the conversation. And I think it's important, once again, we can't put labels on every single body. We genuinely can't do that. I know that that's our human nature, to judge people and put them in a label and try to put them in a category, but it's just not possible. And again, I want to say this: if you are Christian, if you're Muslim, if that's what you stand firm on, I think that everybody always tries to grab to something. Again, people need help. They need hope. It's literally proven that people who have hope live longer, right? Because they have that feeling that somebody is covering them and protecting them. That's great. And it's important that if you do feel that way, that you stick to it, because like I said, it's true to you. Do I believe that there is one truth? Absolutely. But if something is true to you and valid to you, I'm not going to say indifferent, because the way that I am, it's hard for me to articulate, and the only people that can genuinely understand are the people who overstand what I'm saying. So if you don't, I don't want to lead people to a certain situation that's left up to their interpretation, and they don't fully understand what I'm trying to say, and then they're lost in the sauce. Because I saw some people saying like, "Oh, I wonder if she's lost." I'm definitely not. Trust me. Trust me. I'm very firm. Very firm.
I want to welcome Build With Me. Thank you for coming back, Build With Me. How are you doing today?
Hola.
Hola.
See.
Back again.
Okay. So I'm gonna address like some of the things that were said, but to be honest with you, I'm just gonna use a couple blanket statements and then try to like break it down. So Christianity, literally speaking, comes out of Judaism, right? So you have to read the Old Testament and go to the New Testament. And a lot of those things, they still are valid and they carry over. It's just that people choose not to, or they haven't read, or it's a tradition. There's a lot of reasons why people use the Bible the way they do. So, and some of it is literally ignorance. And the other half of it is because this is how they were raised, because I've spoken to many people, and that's directly what they would say to me. Like, I'm not going to change how I do things because this is how I do it. For example, the seventh day, the Sabbath. That's when I go to church, how I eat. You find that in Leviticus. All that stuff is in there. It's just that it's whether people actually choose to abide. So that's why I try not to gauge Christians, how Christians walk by what the word says. Because a lot of people, they don't move 100%. And if you really look at the Bible, you can see a lot of people who are trying their best, but they have issues still. So to
Yeah.
be fair, people are human and we need to work beyond ourselves, else, if that makes sense.
I
And
think I agree with that, but that's why I said that you have to know and research for yourself. You can't
well,
just go and sit down and listen to what somebody is telling you about how you should be interpreting things. You have to
I
know this
agree.
for yourself, because a lot of people, if we're being honest, a lot of people don't find out this knowledge for themselves. They just go because of tradition. Once again, separating religion and spirituality, they just go because that's what their mom did, their grandmama did. We just go to church, we just listen to the pastor, and then we just gonna go home and we're gonna, have some ham.
Well, no, I get that part. That's a side thing. In terms of pork and all that other stuff, yeah, I don't eat that, but the wording is unclean. You're not supposed to touch it. There's a lot of things that go into that. In today's society, it's a bit more complex because they're mixing a lot of things. So to a degree, it is difficult to abide. That's why you'll find that some people ignore it. I've even seen, in no offense to America, but I've seen some Muslims that actually have done the opposite. But that doesn't mean that the Muslim faith doesn't agree with that behavior. It's just
Mhm.
one of those things. Things. I'm
That's why
sorry,
they
you were
say
thinking?
don't judge Christianity by the Christians, and don't judge Islam by the Muslims, because people are defective. Like, we have problems and we're not perfect.
There you go.
Yeah.
Um, in terms of the overarching spirituality conversation. Uh, that one I can't really speak on because in terms of how you believe, because I understand that that is how you choose to move and navigate life. At the same time, I'm similar to Amira's. Like there are certain things you have to understand is real, or this is what happens, or why is this. And when you say study for yourself, that's where you bring into the whole concept of, are we critically thinking? Are we researching? Are we finding the information? And there's nothing wrong with a good teacher. But as a student, you still got to fact check a teacher because teachers get things wrong a lot.
Let me ask
And
you a question. Do you believe that the Bible is left up to interpretation, or do you believe that the Bible is exactly what it is, everything in there exactly happened, and that's just exactly how you're supposed to live your life? And that's a two-part question. So after you answer that, I have another question.
so I'm going to take the lazy way out. I'm going to say
No,
both.
don't be lazy. How is your name Build with me and you want to be lazy?
Easy. Hey, you know what the slang is in Jamaica. Don't worry about that. So the reason why I say both is because there's all for majority of the things that are talked about in the Bible, they're directly things that I believe that did happen. At the same time, there are other little elements in there where you have like visions and prophecies. You have to interpret because there's a lot of nuances you have to understand by reading it as a whole and not leaning to your own understanding. Because remember, these are people. They're way back in the day. The way they live their life is completely different. So there's a whole reworking you have to do when you sit down to actually read the book. And most people try to look at it with a modern lens and they get modern results. But reality of the matter is, if you really take the Bible for what it's saying and what it tells you to do, a lot of issues in your life disappear.
So what about the portion that says slaves obey your masters like you're obeying me?
Okay,
How
so
do you feel about
the
that?
wording on the way you word is a little bit off, but there's an idea to that one. So basically, those who are like in a position of authority and things like that, as a Christian, you are supposed to respect them. There are certain boundaries. So it's not to go out there and cause an uproar, cause discord for no reason. That's the general sense of the verses that deal with that kind of language in the New Testament. If you're going into the Old Testament, it gets a bit deeper because there are different types of servitude and how you come out of that. But in the New Testament, generally speaking, you're supposed to respect those who are over you, those who are responsible for you. So, and on the flip
Can
side,
I
something.
want to
Oh, sorry.
interject a little bit there. I want to speak to Riva about this because even slavery is mentioned in the Quran as well. And the thing is, I think that this is just what I see when I see this. The Quran was written, and even the Bible was written in times where slavery was a normal thing because people used to conquer other people and take them in as slaves, use them as slaves. So, but in the Quran, it was very special because in the Quran, it did speak about how slaves should be treated, but it also said, because Quran did, they wanted slavery to be abolished. It did want slavery to be abolished. So it said that if you set a slave free, that you get paradise. You will be given paradise, and you get blessings upon you if you set one free. So that's a lot. That's what happened back in those days because people used to buy a slave and let them free because they were Muslims and they believed that if they let a slave free, they were given paradise.
For just for all the people in the chat who are
Wow.
saying that that's not in the Bible, that's actually the verse is it's Colossians 3 verse 22. It's literally right there. But also, I have another question. Um, because I don't want to go into that because I have other sentiments how I feel about those two things that we just stated, but that's gonna make this conversation
Very long.
way too long. And then so there's a part, it's Ephesians 4 and something else, and it says to um two questions. I'm sorry. I'm
Okay.
gonna make it very quick. First question is in Ephesians chapter 4, I forgot what the verse is. It says to put on the consciousness of Christ. how would that be interpreted?
See that haven't read. Which type of Bible are you reading? Because I usually stick with the King James.
Oh gosh, King James versions when you read?
Yeah, that's the one I usually use. Yeah.
Oh dear. Oh, build with me.
So wait,
Eh,
what is
Find
that
out,
verse?
find out who translated that Bible.
I know there's a bunch of people that are involved. You have Jews, scholars. King James, yes, they say that he may be a homosexual or whatever the situation
No,
may
it's
be.
not that. It's
And
not that.
Oh,
Shakespeare.
Find out the other books that he wrote.
oh, you're talking about like the Maccabees, Apocrypha, and things of that nature?
Yeah, like the book of Satanism and stuff like that, and then also translated that Bible as well. Next thing,
Is
Bible
that
is
the one
not.
where they took out all the words and took all the knots out of the Bible and it caused chaos for a time? Yeah, I'm aware they had to stop
Yes,
that because again,
another thing is this is another thing. If the Bible isn't left up to interpretation, and this is an honest question that I'm asking you because I want you to be able to elaborate on it. If it's
okay.
not left up to interpretation, how come there's so many different versions? And I like how you asked me like, oh, what version? But I want to know.
Okay, so here's the thing. You have manuscripts and there's many of them. The Bible is literally a historical document. So when people try to pretend or treat it certain ways, it doesn't make sense to me. So
Mhm.
there's a lot of rewritings or being written over. You have different languages. You're going to run into these weird little, I forget the word, but language inconsistencies. I guess that's the best way I
Right,
could.
right.
So that's why it takes a little bit of extra studying and looking into the word to try and get the best understanding. Generally speaking, this is what people say. The King James is one of the better versions. It may not be the best, but it is considered one of the best and carries some of the closest sentiments.
One moment, please, guys. I wanna invite any Muslims, if there's any Muslims in the chat or anyone who is of a different spirituality that doesn't have a name, please feel free to call in because this is an open forum. I want us to be able to discuss this in depth, and we can't. I know we're talking about Christianity right now, but because Riva is more of a spiritual person, I do want to bring out more of the spirituality aspect rather than the religious. So anyone
Hmm.
feel free to call in about this because I want to hear your opinion. Please continue.
Hmm.
You were saying, I forgot what you were saying. You were. I forgot where I was going with that before. Before that, I was saying something about the interpretation. How it's left to different interpretations, and then I just got lost in the comment section. So I genuinely don't remember because I just got lost over here. I shouldn't even look over there.
Hmm.
But the reason, like I said, why I ask these questions is because they're valid questions. Number one.
Yeah.
And number two, oh, this was a question. I knew it was going to come back. This was the question. The question was, do you believe that the Bible that you have is the original version?
What do you mean?
The one that you read now. Do you believe that that's the full Bible? That's the full version that you have? Because it's
Well,
been translated so many times. That's why I'm asking. Do you believe you have the original Bible?
Unless you can read Aramaic, most likely not, but
I'm gonna have to agree with Amir. I can't say for 100% that everything is perfectly legit because that would be disingenuous.
Okay,
Uh,
this is my last question now. Okay.
okay. All
Because
right.
I keep having, I promise this is my last question because I know we want to talk to a lot of other people. My last question is, if that's not the original Bible, do you think that it's possible that there's points that are missing that could be very valuable to the book that we're reading?
I'm going to say no,
Really?
because the reason why I say that because the general tenets, ideas, principles, they're all still there. And if you cross a reference through a lot of manuscripts and different Bibles, the general sentiment's the same, except for some of the newer ones where they're making some very, very egregious changes. But it is what it is.
so
Yeah.
what is your build with me? I just want to ask you, are you a Christian?
Yes, I'm considered Pentecostal, but I'm part of the Seventh Day Church of God.
Uh-huh.
Um, there's a lot of history and explanation that goes into that. My father is way better at explaining that than I am,
Uh-huh.
but generally speaking, there's a lifestyle that you should walk, or at least, okay, how I put this, because this is something I was thinking about, and it was that you have the more we try to broaden things and make things very messy, is the more we realize there's an issue. In other words, we can say that there is no specific one right path, but we know for a fact that there's a bunch of things that are wrong. And if we know that there's a bunch of things that are wrong, that means there's something that has to be right. And if you start piecing the pieces back together and you just pay attention to how life moves, sooner or later you find yourself on a path whether you agree or not. And that's my nicest way of putting it.
One thing,
Yeah, that makes sense.
Hero, I see you in the comments, okay? And I am not trying to prove Christianity wrong. I'm just having a conversation. I'm literally not on here to prove anybody and their religions or their beliefs.
If you want to fight, please call in and talk to her one-on-one.
You
I
can,
will
you
do
can,
that.
Right.
Hi,
you can
Eric.
believe anything. Hey, how are y'all doing?
How are you doing? So welcome to the conversation. I want to ask you, so what do you believe in all of this spirituality talk? What do you believe? Are you Christian?
So no, I'm not a Christian. But I want to ask, do you know the difference between a Christian and a Muslim?
Who?
Rivah, Ameera, anybody? Build with me. Do y'all know the difference between a Muslim and a Christian?
Anyone, feel free to answer that.
I said it previously before. I know very minimal about Islam. I'm not gonna lie to you. I know very minimal. The one thing I know is the one difference that I know is the position in which they put Jesus. That's the one main difference that I know. And
Right.
obviously what happens after like you die. And besides like lifestyle stuff, that's the main difference.
Yeah, so
But I know you're gonna tell us anyway.
a lot of that, yeah, the Abrahamic religion, Christianity is pretty much one that has a holy trinity, pretty much believing that Jesus Christ was the Son of God in man form, incarnate, or however you want to call it, and that God would put his spirit in a man with a virgin birth, with Mary, everybody, I don't have to go into the whole story, but pretty much what happens is people get into conversations about the story and how much difference it has instead of the message behind it, instead of the meaning that you're supposed to get from it, instead of, what I'm saying, what you're supposed to take from it.
So what do you believe in yourself? Like, since we're speaking about it, what do you believe? Are you a spiritual person or religious?
So actually, I'm one of those people who is also seeking all of the same answers to the same questions. You know what I mean? That man has had since beginning. You know what I mean? Where do we come from? You know what I mean? Who are we? Pretty much, how do we have these thoughts? How are we able to, do whatever it is we have to do? You know what I mean? And how is it that we're still connected to this earth? And what people will look is outward to heavens and to the sky, instead of looking inward and realizing, okay, you know what? Some of these answers can be found on this earth realm. Like when they say, oh, you're earthy, I be wondering, what planet are you people on? If you're not earthy, where are you from?
Don't let Anton hear you say that. Welcome in, Chastity Flanders, and welcome the Crimson Cure. Assalamu alaikum rahmatullah wa barakatuh. Ya
rahmatullah. How you doing?
So I'm pretty much just like, I feel like it should be peace with everyone. Everybody should have, that same idea that we are trying to survive here on this planet.
That's a very kumbaya kind of thought. I mean, in a perfect world, we would all say, well, everybody has their own way in doing this. But truth is, I do believe that there is a right way, but we're still all trying to find it. And I don't know, I think there's too many similarities between Christianity, Islam, and all the others that kind of tell us what the right way is. All of those similarities that we have kind of bring us in the general direction of where we need to be going, and that's goodness and righteousness. What do you believe, Chastity?
Well, hi, thank you. I believe the same thing that you believe. I mean, I've grown up being a part of many religions. I was in the Southern Baptist, you know, church. I was in Pentecostal church. My mom was a Buddhist.
Wow.
Um, I actually dated a guy who was Muslim, and so I I went to the mosque with him. So
Oh,
I really have, you know, a large array of experience in this space, and I think that's why I settled on being spiritual, because
Mm.
every one of
Riva,
the
stop it.
religions, it just it just seemed like it was more controlled by man than than it really being controlled by spirit and God. I
Mm.
will say, and I'm not just, tooting your horn, Amira, but I will say that the one place that I did go that I felt the most understanding and the most direction was when I went to the mosque.
Well, we tend to have that effect on
No
people.
way.
I hate to say
I'm
that,
just
but my
saying. You hear that,
father was
Riva? You
wrong.
hear that?
But the reason but the reason why I say that is because one of the biggest things that I really loved about going to the mosque was the fact that the men and the women were separate. And I felt like as if I was there for a purpose specifically. I wasn't there because of what I was wearing, because of who I knew, because I sat in the first or second pew in the church.
Mm.
It was truly about everyone being there for a universal reason. And
Yes.
I really did feel one with God when I went there.
And
So it's
isn't
very hard.
and isn't that the ultimate? Isn't that the thing that's the most important thing?
That is the most important
That's what
thing.
I feel.
That's what I feel. And that is why I have, and unfortunately I only felt comfortable. And the only reason why I was able to attend the mosque was because I was with a Muslim man.
Correct.
Right.
And so I have unfortunately not been able to go again. But that was the most peace and comfort that I felt when I did go into what I would say a religious, right? I'm putting air quotes, a religious kind of setting,
Correct.
so to speak. Um, but in all honesty, Christianity has failed me and it has disappointed me.
I
And
wonder. I wonder sometimes if it's not actually Christianity, but maybe the Christians. Maybe the Christians have deviated away from the book, and if they follow the book more to the T, more strictly, like Muslims do, that you wouldn't have been failed by Christianity. I just wonder. I wonder that in my mind.
no, it makes a lot of sense because with the Quran and with the way Muslims, you know, practice, it's very strict. It's black and white.
Correct.
There's no gray areas. There's no, oh, well, this is what he really meant in the Bible instead
Yeah.
of this.
Right.
None of that comes into play. And I actually am I'm a big person on rules and structure.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I have a religion that tells me that I could basically just interpret what I'd like to interpret from the words,
Mm-hmm.
am I really following a religion, or am I just taking
Following
my
what I
own
want to
personal
believe.
views and making them fit to my life?
I
A
want to
lot
say
of the
something based off
religious
of.
Hold on
leaders,
one second. Let me hear Reva first, and then you, Eric. Is that
I
okay?
just want to say something based off of that. One, I want to make this point known as well. For me, Christianity didn't fail me. And I know that you're saying that for yourself, Chastity, but I just want to say that sometimes people just evolve mentally and they learn more things. They become more open-minded. And, that's okay. That's okay to evolve and okay to grow. But I want to make that point that I don't feel like it failed me. I don't feel like Christianity failed me. And I think that also a big point for me to make is that that's a huge point. is that it's the people for sure. We can only go off of the people, right? We can't go off
based
of
on
religion itself. We have to go off of the people who are, preaching it, or the people who
based on the preachers,
that live, that Christian lifestyle. And are they leading by example? Are they leading like this? We have to go by that.
So
we can't go by anything else.
That's pretty much what I was going to get at, is pretty much people will have all kinds of leaders, and they will see, people interpret the Bible however, because it's not, to be taken literally. It's a fictitious book. It's not something that people should follow to the T anyway. So it's like, if you're looking for rules, it's like you have to interpret it however you interpret it. But that's like interpreting, the Three Little Bears. You have to get whatever message from it the same way.
That's
but you don't
I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that, because we can all interpret things the way we choose to interpret them, how it fits into our narrative.
Okay.
Right.
And I will say that the one thing that I did like about, the Quran is that there's no interpretation in it. It is what it is.
It's the same words.
And I mean, like I said, I've gone through many religions. And the one religion that I literally could not crack to say, oh, this is wrong, that's not right, oh, there's a gray area here, here's a crack here. I couldn't do that when it came.
And I wanted to speak on another thing, is that a lot of people don't know, but I've seen many Bibles, different versions of the Bible, but the Quran, there's only one. There's not been any other translations of it. And I need to speak to a Muslim about this. Miss Crimson Cure, please give us your wisdom.
I want to say something on the subject. I want to say one thing right before Miss Crimson talks, because I don't want to interrupt her at all. I just want to absorb everything that she has to say.
Okay.
The only thing that I wanted to say was that's the biggest issue when it comes to Christianity, because it's so accepting and it's so okay with everything. And there's so many different interpretations, and there's so many different branches, there's so many different Bibles, so many different churches. That's why there's always confusion. That's all I wanted to say.
Miss Crimson Cure, please give us some guidance here.
Hi.
So first of all, hello to everybody. Hey, Miss Rivah. I watched a review you did of one of my videos, girl. I loved it. So, what I'm here to sort of say is that I know we're having a conversation about spirituality, maybe versus religion and things of that nature. But I think what has gotten lost in the sauce for so many centuries, so many years, across cultures, across belief systems, is that religion and spirituality are necessarily two different things, which they're not. Because even when we take a look at the Bible, when we take a look at when Jesus, peace be upon him, was chastising the scholars of his time, and he was saying, the letter of the law, but not the spirit. See, what he wasn't saying, get rid of the letter and accept the spirit. He was saying, listen, you've boiled this stuff almost down to rituals, but what you haven't understood is why the structure exists in the first place, right? And so this is what we actually miss sometimes when religious people become too dogmatic about it, because even some Muslims will become dogmatic about it. And it's like, well, we're making prayer. Let's just take prayer 5 times a day. Making the prayer 5 times a day, if you're not gaining the spiritual food from that, it becomes a ritual that you do, right? But what we have to understand is, why are we doing that? Why are you praying 5 times a day? Why do you eat with your right hand and not your left? What was the purpose? What's the purpose of cleaning ourselves in the bathroom with the way that we do? What's the purpose of not eating the pork? What's the purpose of that stuff, right? What is the benefit of doing that? And I think that people get away from religion because we don't like restriction. We don't like even a God we say we believe in, that we say is higher than us, that we say know more than us or whatever, we don't like even that being telling us what to do, or more pointedly, what not to do. Because the human being likes to do what we want to do. So when we get to a point where, you know what, I'm going to do what I want to do, now we sort of find all these issues with the restrictions, regardless of the book, whether it's the Bible, whether it's the Quran, whether it is Eastern religions, whatever the book is, it doesn't matter. We'll find a way to deviate from that because we don't like the rules. And then we're like, well, we shouldn't have to, we should have to follow the rules because isn't God just blah 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 blah? And I'm not making fun of anybody when I'm saying this. I'm gonna try to make this brief. I'm not making fun of anybody when I say it, because all of us should be going through, we call it a spiritual journey, right? Because we're trying to connect with that higher being. We're trying to connect the energy with that to get the truth of it. So I promise I had a point. I was just trying to put together the religion with this.
I think Crimson, I think she has a question for you. I think Chastity has a question.
Yeah, it's a question, but it's also a statement, because when I hear you say, and I do believe that a lot of people do have a problem with restriction. My biggest issue with Christianity was the lack of restriction, in all honesty. You know, I didn't feel that I got the rules and the way I'm supposed to live my life the way that I did when it came to, and I'm really just, I only really got on this this live because, like I said, I have experienced the Muslim, you know, the Muslim religion and Christianity, and so and I have embraced the other side more because I felt like I actually had more guidance, more direction than I do with Christianity. I feel like Christianity just really leaves it up for you or interpretation for you to kind of just make up your own rules. And I think that's really a big issue when it comes to Christianity, when it comes to the marriage within Christianity,
everything.
I wanted to speak on something that I saw in the chat. Oops, I hit my computer. I want to speak on something that I saw in the chat. I saw someone say that they've met two Muslims that were arguing over a verse, and one had one opinion and one had another. That's not the point, because humans naturally do that anyway. My point was that you will not find two Qur'ans with different versions and different words that you can say, well, my version says like this, and I can argue with you about that word. The point is, there's only one Qur'an. So no matter your interpretation, it says this, and that's all that it said. You don't get a different version of what it said, so you can interpret it a different way. Hi, Wesley. How are you doing?
Doing okay. Getting late, though.
What do you think about the conversation?
Very interesting conversation. Interesting enough to bring me on. So, Chastity, it sounds like you were in a lighter form of Christianity. There are heavier ones, if that didn't suit you. I mean,
well, I was in Southern Baptist, so that was real heavy.
Yeah.
I mean, you can still. I mean, there's still a lot of other ones out there, and that's one of my issues with religion. But let me explain that with a joke. So, Jesus, I'm not Jesus. He's not present here. Satan and God were walking down the road. Satan sees something shiny on the side of the road and says, "Hey, God, what's that shiny thing on the side of the road?" And God's like, "Oh, well, that's religion." So Satan says, "Well, let me organize that for you."
Okay, that was Rivah.
So the point I'm getting to, though, is the concept of organized religion as opposed to just belief. So every individual Christian church has certain variations of their belief, and then you expand slightly outside of that into their denomination of Southern Baptist or Other Baptist or Seventh-day Adventist. they all technically follow the same doctrine, except for Mormons that believe in magical underpants. Friggin', but there's all kinds of different denominations to go to. So that's one of the contentions I would have with organized religion, being like, which one do you choose? Some believe all the others go into hell. Some believe everyone's going to heaven. Like, it's just such a variation of beliefs.
So is Satan man?
What's that?
Is Satan man since he organized religion?
I never indicated that Satan was a man, but if you're
well, if
referring to
if Satan brought in, based off your joke, if Satan brought in organized religion, then is Satan man? Did man corrupt the authenticity of religion?
Well, it sounds like you love taking jokes very seriously. But
well, you used
indicate based on the common beliefs of Christianity, and I'm agnostic, but on common beliefs of Christianity, Satan is an angel, and based on what people believe about him, he tempts humans into doing different things. So organizing religion, that would seem like a very Satan thing to do. Very intelligent.
Yeah. So Wes, I will tell you that with all of my experience currently right now, I'm agnostic, well, because I can't be Muslim, but I'm agnostic, you know. I do believe in God and in spirituality. I just don't believe in organized religion because I have I guess you could say, trauma from, you know, Satan organizing religion on earth for people. If we want to use your, you know, joke as like an actual true reference.
So here's something that you have to always understand about humans, no matter what discussion you're having. When it comes to any type of human organization, whether it's a political organization between types of governments or religion, is that humans are inherently corruptible.
Yes. Okay, so if this is the case, I hear both of you. So I have an agnostic person here, which I didn't know you were, and we have a problem here. I have a problem with that. I'm just kidding. And Chastity, you didn't say what you believe in, but it seems like you are kind of agnostic as well. So
I go back and forth. I say I'm agnostic because I don't conform to any organized religion. I won't say I'm Baptist. I won't say I'm Pentecostal. You know, I won't say that. You know, I was raised as a Christian. I believe in God, but I only say I'm agnostic because I believe in spirituality. I believe in the word. I just don't believe in man.
Well, I wanna ask the panel, now that I have 6 people here, I want to ask this because this whole conversation started off with Rivah and her spirituality and what she believes. So we had this whole conversation, and I hope you guys heard it. I hope you guys heard what we were talking about. And I want to hear, starting with Crimson, and then Wesley, and then Chastity, and then Dammy. Crimson, what do you believe about Rivah's spiritual journey? She calls it more of a spirituality rather than a religion. What do you see with that?
Well,
hold on, Ameera, you're putting them on the spot.
This is about your spirituality.
We are here to be on the spot.
This show is about you, so it has to be.
We shouldn't have clicked on the link.
Well, before I say anything, I do want to say I don't judge or cast aspersions on anybody's journey. How they come to the truth is how they come. And which leads me into the answer. Allah can reveal the truth in any manner, way, path that he desires to do so. Because we're Muslim, we believe that Allah has utilized his prophets sent to different people in different time periods to give them that same truth over and over and over again. However, since the truth is the truth and not my truth, your truth, their truth, The truth belongs to Allah and is Allah. So if he wanted to reveal that truth to a people in the bush that never heard of a Muhammad or a Jesus or an Abraham or a book or a Quran or a Bible, he could do that and they would be living the truth, right?
Okay.
Because the truth is the truth.
Now I just have a question based off of that. Is the truth based off of their words, based off of their liberty, or based off of their actions? Because God judges the hearts of man. So that's why I asked that question. Is it so? Does that mean that the people who, like you said, are in a bush that never heard of it, or wherever they are, how would they be judged on their righteousness? Because that's the ultimate, right? The ultimate is righteousness, living a righteous life. So how would their righteousness be judged?
Truth is intent and action. And action is informed by its intent.
Intent is facts. That's
so
facts.
If a person who had never actually heard of the language, the terminologies that we're using, but they know there's a higher being, so what I'm doing for that being, then Allah understands that. Allah gave us a structure. The truth belongs to him. So he'll judge whomever by whatever criteria he decides, as long as it is the truth. And I know that might sound confusing to people. Well, why would a Muslim say that?
No, not at all.
Why would a Muslim say that? Because isn't Islam this really strict, new religion is only about 14 or 1500 years old, and what do they know? I know it might sound confusing, but we, meaning Muslims, have to understand who Allah is, and that Allah is not restricted in any way, shape, or form at all in his choice of communication to his creation, meaning us. So, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say.
I don't mean to be long-winded either.
So no, you're not at all. Trust me, when you speak, we listen. But I think that would prove basically some of my sentiments as well that I'm saying.
Yeah, no, yeah, it does. Yeah,
it does.
Yeah, it does. I want to get Wesley's opinion on this.
Well, real quick, Rivah, what actually is your spiritual journey that we're trying to comment on?
Well, I'm not like on a journey.
You already got there?
Standing still. Standing real firm, like a tree with roots, just planted firmly in the ground. I have a connection. I have a connection with the spirit. It's felt by others.
Whose spirit?
My spirit.
Wesley.
My spirit, you said?
Whose spirit?
Wesley.
No, with the ultimate. There's definitely this is, I don't know if you were here earlier, but I said that a lot of times people put the word God, right? They use the word God, literally a word created by man. Okay, and they look at it as like it's a person, like a physical person that's like God of, For me, I feel like we need to think about the source of creation in itself.
Okay, all right, I can work with that. So,
I want to, Wesley. I need to get over to Dammy because he haven't even had a chance to talk yet.
We can go to Dammy first.
Okay,
Dammy.
Dammy
or Tommy?
It's Dommy. Yeah, it's Dommy.
Oh, Dommy, I'm sorry.
No, you're good. It's no big deal.
But thank you for coming in and welcome. What do you think about the topic? And do you have any questions for Rivah?
Oh, yeah. I actually had a question for you and Crimson, maybe. Okay. So I was like watching, and I heard you guys over talking about, Christianity and the concept of translation and the different so-called versions, as people like to call it, but it's not really different versions. It's more so a translation concept. But
it says it on the front of it. It says King James Version.
Yeah, but it's a translation. You know what I mean. But the ultimate question that I'm trying to get is, and I don't mean to be like malicious. I'm genuinely inquiring because I never get to speak to people who are Muslim. So Muslims believe in the Bible and the Quran, or they just believe in the Quran?
Well, both books are valid, but the Quran basically has basically the Old Testament of the Bible is pretty much in the Quran as well, because we have all of Jesus's stories. Even we have more stories of Jesus than the Bible does. We have more in the Quran, or not more. I would say different. We have a lot of different other stories from Jesus.
Interesting. So my question would be like, because I believe in the Bible, right? And my really the thing that I've never understood about Islam is, if you guys believe in the Bible, right, how come I see so many Muslims, they will say that the Bible's been corrupted or that its message has been changed or altered through like different, like over time. But if you believe in the Bible, right, in Isaiah chapter 40, verse 8, it says,
Crimson, I see you raising your hand. You can handle the question if you want.
It says, the green grass dries up, the blossom withers, but the word of our God endures forever. So if it's the same God and it's the same word, supposedly the Bible and the Quran is supposed to be the same word, then how could any Muslim say that the Bible's been corrupted or has been changed or altered if you believe that God can't lie? And if God can't lie, then his word is going to endure forever, right? Maybe, I don't know. That's what I'm asking. I'm just inquiring.
Crimson, what do you want to say on that?
That's a good question. When we say we believe in the books, we believe in the revelation of them. As in, we believe that Allah actually did send prophets with books. He did send Moses, peace be upon him, with what we call the Torah. He did send David, peace be upon him, with what we call the Psalms. He did send Jesus, peace be upon him, with what we call the gospel, right? He did send that. The fact that mankind was able to corrupt that doesn't negate the fact that Allah sent it. So we believe in that because Allah sent it. And when we say that there has been a corruption, that corruption is not 100%, because there's truth in the Bible, right? There's truth in the Bible. There's truth in the Torah. There's truth in the Psalms. There's truth in the gospel. And we can see that truth. That truth has extended even from before those books were revealed, right? Because there were books, we understand, scripts from ancient civilizations that contain those same truths, right? And then Quran contains those same truths. The purpose of the Quran was to correct what had been undone or what had been corrupted in the books before, because from an Islamic understanding, all of the books belong to Allah. So Allah has the right to correct them. Preserving the Quran was done because Allah's not going to send another prophet or another book to correct anything. That not preserving the previous books was a test of mankind, kind of proved that mankind could not be trusted to preserve it on its own. He was going to try to corrupt it. And we understand corruption even just from a language standpoint, because when you no longer have the original script, corruption is going to come. Even if it's just in translation, corruption is going to come, because if there's no original script to make it the standard, like there is Quran is in Arabic. That's the original script. That script does not change. No matter how many languages you translate it to, that script is the same across every Quran, right? So it's not a versus type of situation where the Quran versus the Bible and versus all of that belongs to Allah. So I hope I answered your question. Did I answer your question in a way that made sense?
I understood what you were saying, but I mean, it's fine. It's fine. I understand. It didn't really answer my question. I'm going to be transparent, but
what was your exact question? If you can make
my exact question is, if the Bible was like, if like the 66 books of the Bible, right, from Genesis to Malachi, from Matthew to Revelation, you know, the standardized, you know, grouping of what we call the Bible, right, the Christian Bible, was sent by God, right? How could it be corrupted in any facet, even by imperfect man, if God is God? Like, that's my problem. Like with Islam, I don't really get why he would need to send a whole another book that kind of speaks about stuff that's completely different. You know what I
What's
mean?
completely?
Like with reference to, you know, with reference to how, like, you know, the earth came to be, the amount of days, like if I don't know if you guys watch Christian apologetics or Islamic apologetic videos on YouTube where you have like Christian scholars against Islamic scholars, but there'll be like Christians who will go into the hadiths and then, like, you know, and they'll like pretty much bring up stuff that kind of contradicts what Muslims say about the Quran being whole, like in terms of holy and having everything in it. And then like the Muslims that are there, they kind of never really answer that. They kind of just like speak about the concept of commentaries and how there's different meanings and how commentaries can conflict with each other. But like what Crimson Cure said, the Quran is supposed to be the same. But I mean, it just is what it is. It's not that deep. I just had to like ask. But for Riva, my question was a reference to spirituality against religion, because I know y'all probably got to go, but when it comes to the concept of morality, right? So I watch like a lot of videos about, you know, you have spiritual people, and you have religious people. And one of the things that I always see them throw at people who are quote unquote just spiritual, but aren't connected, and they just believe in like the universe and the law of attraction and manifestation and those, I don't want to say archaic concepts, but just modern day concepts. The thing they always ask them is, where do they get their morals from? Because if your morals come from you, or God is within you and everything's connected, then how can I tell somebody who's doing something that I think is wrong or a sin that is wrong and a sin if there's nothing higher than us to really determine that? You know what I mean?
Because
so what would be your answer to somebody who gave you that question?
Yeah, because literally everything that you put out, you get back, right? So it's obvious that if you kidnap a child, right? Like, these are things that are just morally obviously wrong. They're obviously things that should not be done. There's nothing that you have to look at, read, try to get somebody to tell you to understand. There's literally things that are just morally wrong that you should not do. And I think that it's important because a lot of people, I understand why people have so many questions, especially when people say that they're spiritual, right? I understand that so well, because a lot of the comments even that I read are true. A lot of people use that as an umbrella to shield things. A lot of that they use that to an excuse to create their own way of doing things. So because it feels good to them, a lot of these comments that people are saying is actually very valid. In my case, that's not how it is, obviously. For me, like I said, I'm going to say it again. There's some people who are just born with this thing in your head that just tells you, like, nah, you shouldn't do that. That's not the right thing to do. That's wrong. Like, literally, morally, that's not okay. And then there's some people who are just, they follow their religions and they're taught things. But my main point with your sentiments, with your question as well, is that there's different foundations. Everybody has different foundations. For Islam, people who are raised Muslim, that's the foundation. For Christianity, that is their, foundation. That's the things that they were taught. They're taught about the superior being, and if you do this, you're going to hell. Everybody going to hell. Or like somebody else said, nobody's going to hell. Like, you know what I mean? Like, there's so many different ways. But it's important to know that spirituality and religion are not one and the same, because a lot of people can read 1 million books, but they don't have an intuition. They don't have it. They can't. They don't have a connection to the source.
I want to get Chastity in. Chastity, it looks like you had something to say.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with Riva, and I want to say that everybody internally knows when they're doing right or wrong. No one needs to tell you that. And I think people are so used to listening to external voices, and I will use external voices as religion to tell them when they're being right or wrong, and not listening to the God that's within them. Like the spirit lives within you, you know. And again, like I said, I'm not religious, but I'm spiritual. There's never a time when I'm not doing something wrong when I don't know I'm doing something wrong. You know,
You're saying like there's already innate feelings
yes,
brought like into us, intuition that we have.
there's already that innate feeling, whatever that feeling is you feel inside yourself. Like think about the last time you did something wrong, you knew it was wrong, you felt a certain way inside, you felt it, you knew it. No external man had to tell you that, no religion had to tell you that, you knew it.
It's important that we talk about something that hasn't been brought up in this conversation, and that is universal law. There's nothing, you can't go above universal law.
Yeah.
Right. Like literally, you treat others how you want to be treated. Like it's if nothing else, if you literally take nothing out of this conversation, if you just research universal law, it covers a multitude of this conversation that we're having right now when it comes to feelings, when it comes to that innate thing of knowing.
So that's a spirituality then. Spirituality is just your innate feelings, essentially. Your innate feelings. So I mean,
it is your innate connection with spirit. It is. It's your innate connection with spirit. And you know what? Maybe I'm arrogant to believe that everyone has that inside of them, right? Maybe everyone doesn't, and they don't see it, and they don't feel it, and they don't know when, you know, it's happening to them.
I can give you an example of when people can go wrong with that, because a lot of people say, well, love feels right? Love feels good. So even if you're married or something, you could fall in love with someone else and someone could argue, well, I want to follow love because love just feels right, and end up cheating or doing these things that aren't right? Some people don't have that filter or that feeling that it's wrong. So that's where I think religion kind of sets the rules and says, this isn't how it should be. This is, do unto others as you would want done to you. And basically having a law, I don't know. I think religion is more about having that set rules.
I agree with you on that.
I'm sorry?
I agree with you on that, Ameera, because I would say that spiritually you could say, oh my God, I love this person. I'm married to this person over here, but I fell in love with this person. And from a spiritual place, you could be like, oh my God, they're the person I'm supposed to be connected with. And I would agree with you to say that if you had religion, right, my religion would tell me, no, you can't act on those feelings.
So is Dami, I'm sorry, Dami, what you're arguing is like, how can it be, how is that wrong?
Yeah, I was just wondering, like, how is it wrong? If something's inside of you telling you that it's okay for you to love somebody outside of your marriage, then who am I or who is anybody else to say that you shouldn't be doing that or that's wrong? If the God within you is telling you to do that.
Talking about religion.
There's a lot of things that we may think is a good idea. Can you mute yourself,
Chastity? Chastity, can you mute, please? There you go. Okay, go ahead. Go ahead, Wesley.
So I think you've identified one of the experiences of being human. There's a lot of things that we want to do or think is a good idea, ends up not being that way, like extramarital affairs. I mean, we can also talk about binge drinking or watching Squid Games, things like that, things that you may regret later.
Why would you regret what? Okay, Wesley. Crimson, what do you think about this?
No, because is there an innate moral compass in the general body of mankind? Yes, Muslims actually call that a fitra, the base nature of a thing. So we actually there's a word for that that we have. That's what we say when people are on the fitra, then that's what they're doing. However, it cannot be solely relied upon for all of our decisions in our lives, because like Wes just said, sometimes we feel stuff and we think it's a good idea, and it's not a good idea. It's actually not. For several reasons, it cannot be.
Like infections.
Yeah, right. So there are lots of emotions and impulses inside of a human being that we just can't follow because it's not a good idea. You know, serial killers have an impulse too, you know, that tells them that it's okay for them to act on that impulse, and it is not. It isn't. It's really is not. It's not a good thing.
Dami's argument is why is it wrong?
What about people who do these things in the name of their religion?
Then the question
That
would
don't
be
make it right.
laws, rules, and
You mean
regulations.
like Heaven's Gate?
That doesn't make it right, is what I'm saying.
No, but what I'm saying, my not comeback, but you know, my response to that would be, the question would be, is that tolerated in the religion based off of whatever text it comes from? That's where the question comes from. Because spirituality is more so just a nuanced concept. There's really no like thing that we can point to and say this is what it is. But with like religions like Judaism, Islam, Buddhism, Christianity, whatever, most of the time there's a text that we can actually go in and search and do research and say, oh wait, no, you're not supposed to be doing that because this, and this says that you're not supposed to do that. So that would be my like response to that.
I think it's more like, even if it's not wrong, the thing is, for us, it's more of what will lead us down the path to the best life possible. And I think that's what religion is trying to do, is trying to say, yes, okay, this shouldn't be done. And the reason is because you are not going down a path that's going to lead you to the best life possible.
I think this is a huge point. I think a huge point is it depends on where you're at in your journey. You know, it depends on where you're at in your consciousness. That's the proper word to use that I haven't been using, but it generally depends on where you are in your consciousness. Because if you believe that you're a human having like a human experience and religion is going to just guide you to the way and then the spirit is after, that's one thing. But if you believe that you're genuinely a spirit having a human experience, that changes the complete narratives of your life. And I think that's something that people don't relate the two. Like, I think I really want to know what everybody's idea of spirituality is. I genuinely want to know that.
Well, I think we came to the conclusion that spirituality is basically following your intuition and being connected personally with your spiritual leader or spiritual being. I think that's what we came to the conclusion of what it is. Is there anyone who differs from that?
That's
I'm sorry, repeat that.
Extremely broad.
That's what I want to know. That's why I'm
Could,
asking.
I think spirituality is very broad.
Could Ameera repeat? Could you repeat what you just said? I apologize.
Okay. Spirituality, I thought that we came to the agreement that spirituality was having this innate connection, this connection with your spiritual leader, your spiritual being, whatever you believe in, like energies. And I think that's like an innate feeling, like it's not something that is conscious, but it's more of an unconscious thing. Does anyone differ from that?
I would agree with that. Yeah.
So what do you think, Rivah?
No, well, I mean, I think I've said it in a million ways of what I think in all this time. For me to give you the full rundown, I have to tell you that it would be hours long for me to tell you my interpretation of spirituality, because it's not something that can be explained. I'm sorry, everybody's like, get out the chat, Rivah, because it's not something that
greater than yourself. Sorry.
It's something greater than yourself. It's knowing that you genuinely matter this much, like in this big, vast space that we live in. It's humility. It is a connection to the source. And the connection to the source is so strong that you don't even care, you know, how to get there, but you have to be attached to it, because you just feel this strong connection to it because you just love it so much. And I think that's a big part of spirituality that a lot of people don't want to talk about. Like they think that it's just this thing that's just flighty, and it's really not. Like there's a genuine connection that people have to the source, and seek in just the heart that people have to seek the connection of the source's face, to be righteous, to be righteous enough, to be holy enough, to be able to be a person that is that can lead by example, right? To have a clean heart. And clean is subjective to everyone, right? Like what people, but we know that there's like a base for these things. And I think that's when spirituality can really go down to a different, like I said, a whole different road of a conversation. But it's not just this fly by night thing. And that's why I don't understand how people can say that, like, oh, religion is one thing and spirituality is the next. How can you have a pastor or a leader who is leading you who is not spiritually feeding you as well? That's a problem. That's a huge problem. You can read 1 million books. I can read those books too. But if your connection is not aligned right, you can't teach me anything.
Well, yeah, there's people who follow religion blindly and don't actually take the spiritual things that should come along with it. You should be doing something spiritual with it, but a lot of people just follow the religion as that. And are there any closing arguments before we say goodbye?
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming, Danny.
Who am I supposed to be arguing against?
Wesley, okay. It's so nice to have you come in, and thank you for talking about this. I didn't know you were agnostic, but that's good to know now.
Well, I'm always happy to donate some knowledge when I can. Normally I'm a little sharper, but we are in drastically different time zones.
Yeah, trust me.
Yeah, I know. And I'm sorry about that for the East Coast people, but thank you guys for joining us. Crimson, please come so we can say goodbye if you're still there.
Okay.
Bye-bye,
I don't have
sisters.
any closing things. Just thank everybody.
Nice
Thank you
meeting
so much, Crimson. Thank you, Wesley. Thank you guys so much. And I hope to see you all again. Rivah, we still have another live stream to do because we have to talk about the polygamy argument. And
Oh my God.
I can't let it slide. We have to do this.
This just keeps getting deeper and deeper.
So we will be speaking again soon. Let me know if you have time next week. Maybe we can talk about it then.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, thank you guys for joining us. Thank you for joining us here on Lapeef Network on our conversation about spirituality and what Rivah believes. So I guess,
right? We still don't know. Everyone,
it's still a big question mark, but this is how it is. So thank you guys so much. And I guess we yield our time. Bye-bye.